Good afternoon, everyone. This is your Gran, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Saturday, January 17, 2023, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Looking at a sunset just for a second. Just for a second, you just glance at a sunset. You forget your separateness. You are the sunset. That is the moment when you feel the beauty of it. But the moment you say that it is a beautiful sunset, you are no longer feeling it. You have come back to your separate, enclosed entity of the ego. You know, we come across things like, I have a good friend that, maybe they have a son or daughter, and say the son or the daughter died that morning in a motorcycle accident. It was, and obviously felt as a tragic loss for the whole community. And he was so sad that he could barely talk and didn't have words to describe what he was experiencing. It was such a deep shock that it suddenly reminded him of the day that he lost his father. So when you hear this kind of news, a huge dark cloud comes over the heart. Instantly, your normal, safe experience of reality completely changes. You realize the only true safe place to be on this earth was intimately close to your spiritual essence at the core. It is certain, for all of us, that one day we will leave these bodies. We'll arrive at our door. Death will arrive at our door. And it will come as a great surprise. To most. There will be no warning. To stop all your previous social habits, let down your guard, and allow others to see and know the real person that you are. You can learn how to open your heart with any person you meet. This means learning how to let love in and share this bright light that you have inside you with them. Now, you have no idea how it may change their life or yours for the better. Just do it. Who knows? They could be your last opportunity to love. It's so vitally important that we seize this precious life. Death will be arriving on its own time schedule and not according to anyone's plans. 1 minute, your child could be alive, right? Is alive. The next minute, they're gone. This is the basic fact about this life. It ends. We know it's temporary. We are not the body. The minute we accept this hardcore truth, every moment of our lives become emotionally rich and spiritually juicy. We discover a sweet reverence for life, and we stop taking every breath for granted. You ever notice that when we experience something with our bodies, right? And we're just kind of hopping along, a couple of little bumps here and there, and all of a sudden something that just we kind of know, we better tend to it. Or you're kind of just doing your thing during the course of the day, and you get a phone call and you say, and the person on the other end of the line says, "Oh, your brother's dead. Your brother died." Out of the clear blue, just boom. Okay. And I know a lot of us have experienced this. And for a moment, we kind of reflect. We do have our own remorse. It's not necessarily do we cry. Not everybody cries. Some people cry deep within. Others, outwardly. And we all handle it in our own way. And I've always, as time has gone by in this life that I'm in, this current body, I learned that at a very young age that I knew that these bodies were temporary. And when anybody ever passed, it was scary when you're young. It's like when my father, when he was removed. And I remember walking into my sister's husband at the time was in the military as well. This was a military funeral. And so when I was walking in, and he was behind me, my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, and right at that point, I came through the door and I turned back. I wanted to just leave. I really didn't care to see my father in dress uniform in an open casket. I just didn't care to see it. I knew he had left the body and there was nothing in that body. But my brother-in-law kind of just insisted that I go in there. So I went in there, and of course, a lot of people don't know this, but they still do it. This was years ago, of course, back in the 60s. But they still do it. They put kind of a newspaper into the cavity because all the organs are gone and, they've gotten them ready for a funeral, drained all the fluids. And see, it's interesting when a body is empty and you look at an angle at the face, you can see where everything's just kind of sagged down because there's nothing left. There's no energy in there. There's no God in there. There's nothing. It's just an empty vessel. But, you do see a total peace over that body. You don't see stressfulness. You don't sense it at all. There's no stress. There's no anger. There's no fear. There's no hatred. It's just an empty vessel. Blood gone, everything. So whenever I've had, like my brothers, my sister leave the body, and I was, my mother, because we had a family of 7, now we're down to 2. I look at it differently. I look at it that I am grateful that I knew them when that God was in that body. And did I miss their physical being? No, I didn't, because I knew that God had left that body and had lived that life, had existed in that life, experienced that life, but is no longer. That life is gone. And only that soul, that God, carries it. But when you know that you are the God, and when people leave the body, it's just the body. The God is eternal that was in that body. You can communicate with any loved one who has left the body whenever you choose. Now, it's just not, you're not hugging them and touching them and feeling them because that's a physical material world. But you can talk with them and you can experience them whenever you choose. Because remember, we are not separate. So my invitation for you this week is this. Before you get out of bed each morning, sit and feel the reality of impermanence. You'd be amazed, okay? I do this every morning. before you get out of bed each morning. Sit like you sit upright and feel the reality of impermanence. For 10 minutes, try it. 9, 10, 12 minutes. Feel how everything is impermanent. Feel this deep truth in your bones. Nothing and no one in this world is going to remain here forever. Let it penetrate your head, your heart, and gut. This is a very ancient meditation practice. Doing it for 3 weeks in a row will transform your life in the most amazing ways. I guarantee it. There's a deep emotional and spiritual release when we realize. See, now, some people say, oh, I realize that. From the head, maybe. Maybe. You might say it. And this deep emotional and spiritual release, when we realize how everything is impermanent. Everything. Notice how you become different when you realize everything around you will one day be gone. Do what you can to remain aware of the impermanence of everything throughout your day. You will discover the greatest freedom arising within you. You'll naturally start tapping into your deepest connection to that divine essence, which continues after this body is gone. When this occurs by itself, you will always be appreciating this incredible, deeply eternal loving of existence. Accepting your physical mortality is one of the greatest spiritual practices any of us can take on. As we embrace the fact that nothing is permanent in this world, a sacred humility takes over. The over-demanding ego is embarrassed as it sees the futility of its super important plan. Only through this humble approach to existence can we find stillness, spiritual freedom, and enlightenment. All other non-humble spiritual paths have some sneaky ego still hiding and holding on in the background. All other non-humble spiritual paths have some sneaky ego still hiding and holding on in the background. Misery nourishes your ego. That's why you see so many miserable people in this world. Misery nourishes your ego. That's why you see so many miserable people in this world. The basic central point is the ego. Oh, sorry. Here, think about that. Death, at least that's what we call it on this planet, is the most fierce and deeply penetrating spiritual teacher that we can have. It will not let our ego escape alive. Death will always be waiting around the next corner, ready to wipe your entire life clean. Death will remove all material possessions from you, all wounds, all people, all your financial problems and future plans. It is guaranteed that one day everything will be removed from your grasp. No matter how safe we think we are, this hard truth will remain. Perhaps because it has the most profound purpose for our spiritual growth. Death forces us to remain awake. We must always appreciate this human life we are given. We have to find reverence, otherwise we suffer. Knowing how very fragile this life is, we become kind to everything that is alive. Knowing how very fragile this life is, we become kind to everything that is alive. By remembering our mortality, we are not so quick to getting angry at our loved ones, nor become distant, judgmental, or critical with them. We tend to forgive everyone who has wronged us more quickly and return to loving the real heart and soul connection that we do have. With the awareness that death is approaching, we become more gentle on ourselves, instantly dropping any hard, heavy energy that we may be carrying. We tend to deal with any leftover skeletons hiding in our closet and embrace those things we are avoiding. We remember that we came here to heal ourselves, and so we stop protecting our hearts from opening up to others. We become radically honest with ourselves and others because we just never know when it's our turn to go. Excuse me, you may have had this experience. I had it more than once. I witnessed, my mother and my mother and my sister, they didn't get along. And because they were so much alike. And neither of them would admit it. So when both of them were getting ready to leave the body, my mother left, and then 2 months later, my sister left. But I remember watching my mother was in a retirement home, and my sister was in her bedroom with her, and she was laying on the bed, and my sister just poured out everything, apology, everything to my mother, which was really good for her. And my mother forgave her daughter, and the conversation continued, but it's like they both surrendered. They let go of all the crap, friction, and everything. And that was good. So when you witness these things, you begin to realize that eventually that body you're in is going to be gone. So I invite you to do something truly radical this coming week. Share with those who are still with you today how you honestly feel. Now, obviously, for some it may be very challenging. Yet, tell them what is going on inside you. Reveal everything and clear off your emotional plate. Be free to say anything you cannot speak about or say. Be free to say anything you cannot speak about or say. You just don't know when your best friend's family member or child will die, do you? Let them know how much you actually love them. Rise above any social games you are playing. Stop being afraid of being ridiculed or getting rejected. Take the risk to celebrate your lives and enjoy your short, precious time here together. You truly don't know when it is going to come to a quick end. Man has lost one quality, the quality of zestfulness. And without zest, what is life? Just waiting for death? I can't be anything else. Only with zest do you live. Otherwise, you vegetate, Osho. And that's very true. How many people do you see in your life, in this present life, that don't have any oomph? They don't seem to have any spark of excitement, enthusiasm to be alive. You notice that? What would happen if people begin to realize, I'm deeply grateful to be in this body. I'm deeply grateful to be experiencing this life every second. Now, there's only one thing you can do to transcend death, and this is where the courage comes in. Embrace it. With welcoming it fully, you will eventually find your way to real inner peace. There's only one thing you can do to transcend death. Embrace it without welcoming it fully. You will eventually find your way to real inner peace. This acceptance does not mean to start taking more apathetic actions in your life. This is about finding more reverence in everything. Everything is sacred. When you discover this tremendous appreciation for the simple things, like this breath that is still flowing through your lungs, you'll see the fear of living and dying quickly dissolves. If we can fully embrace, if and when we can fully embrace death, we can only live life. We can totally live life. Embracing death allows us to totally live life. When you have a deep reverence for this life, you naturally take advantage of every moment to feel that you are alive. You finally arrive into this precious now moment of your life, where all the puzzle pieces fit in and everything comes to perfection. You can truly rest here. It is the only place. You can let go of it all and fall into resonance with your true spiritual nature. Take this moment to feel into this spiritual essence inside your body. Feel that energy that will remain when your body is gone. Can you feel this eternal energy? The infinite self is here. And if you can't find it and reconnect to it all day, you'll soon realize that heaven is already here now. The heaven is within you, the God within the soul. The spiritual effervescence will expand in you and send bubbles of light filled joy into your heart. Open your life to these bubbles, and then you wonder why you were pretending to be so worried, fearful, and concerned about everything in your life. The greatest courage is to drop the mind. The bravest man or woman is who can see the world without the barrier of the mind, just as it is. It is tremendously different, utterly beautiful. There is nobody who is inferior, and there is nobody who is superior. There are no distinctions. Another technique to realize you are an infinite being who will never die is to pretend. Pretend you just died. Breathe in this moment as if this was your very last breath. Lay your body down on the bed and imagine that this is your final moment of life. You are breathing your last breaths of this life. And soon there will be no more. View all the important scenes from your life. See what truly matters. Your body will, of course, continue to breathe for you. Just let the air enter as slowly and deeply as possible. Fall into the quiet valley after every exhaltation for as long and deep as you can. After a few minutes of reviewing your life, stop all mind activity and relax into the deepest point of stillness that you can find. Follow these meditations this week. You'll find a sense of completion with your past and a deeper acceptance of your future. The more you practice them, the better your life will become. You'll find that there is no more anxiety about anything or anyone anymore. You'll realize that there is only this moment of life, and this very precious moment is all that we have. Have fun. Be playful. And remember, you are an eternal being who will never die. Never, ever die. Never. So don't take anything of this world too seriously. This single intention will allow all of us to totally enjoy our entire human life journey while it's still here. Now, we often, obviously, most of us aren't going to focus on death because we fear it so much. And instead of embracing it, we hide it. We push it away. We don't talk about it. The only time you find yourself talking about death is when someone dies, right? A relative or friend or loved one, and they die. Then everybody starts, you're in that mode of death. And it reminds you that that body, you will leave eventually, even in immortality, okay? But it's different because you learn so much more, you experience so much more, because you have so much longer time in the body. So your whole experience is different. But you value every single second you're in that body, whether it's 1,000 years old or more. But eventually, we will leave the body. But is it something, ask yourself this, is it something that you have on your mind every day? Well, obviously, people that have, bodies that are really malfunctioning probably think about leaving the body every day, which is dangerous, okay? But when we embrace, we surrender this life to the God that we are within the body. How many of us can, without a shadow of a doubt, say that we love everything and everyone? Okay? How many of us can honestly say that and feel it? There are a lot of people on this planet that want to help you. Believe it or not, there are some genuine, deep-hearted humans that their greatest joy is to help their fellow humans. That's their greatest joy. No question, no doubt whatsoever. Now imagine that we all felt this way. Imagine that we didn't fear death, but we appreciated and were in deep gratitude for every moment that we live. Every moment. When things are good, when things are bad, when things are really bad or things are really good. We stay in deep gratitude. And we don't ever come down on ourselves. We really don't come down on ourselves. We love ourselves. We are gentle, kind, generous, and humble with ourselves at all times. So we don't, those things are like back burner. And the clock ticks, and the pendulum swings. And we become, the years go, right? This is it. And then we reach a point in our lives where we start asking ourselves, how much longer am I going to be in this body? People right now in this country alone are asking that question right in this now. Have I done everything I wanted to do? These are questions that come up. Have I done everything I wanted to do? Have I enjoyed the things I wanted to enjoy? Have I experienced the things that maybe I wasn't too sure of, but went ahead. You know, like the bucket list that they call, right? These are questions that start formulating and coming up. We ask ourselves, oh, I was too mean to this person or that person. I didn't have a good relationship with my family. I didn't have this or that. I should have done this, and then all this stuff comes flooding in. Tell people how you feel. You don't know when. They won't be there for you to do that. One of the biggest fears that any of us have is loving ourselves. It's a big fear. We don't even tread there. We really don't. We don't care to tread there. So we concentrate on other things, like taking this life too seriously. Got to be serious, you know. Got to be serious because that's what the society instructs you to do. You got to be serious. Got to be serious about this life. You're an adult now. You can't be going off and acting like a kid. Got responsibilities. You see how the society works? And not many people talk about this subject, but in meditation it's very vital that we focus on our gratitude of this life. That we really do know that one day we, the God within the body, will leave the body. Then all this physical stuff is gone. Okay? You won't be able to smell. You won't be able to taste. You won't be able to feel. That's a huge shift, isn't it? Can't taste. We don't cry. We're a ball of light. We are a ball of pure energy, pure consciousness and beyond. Omnipotently powerful. We don't know this, but we aren't the body that we left. We never were the body that we left. We are the God within the body. And we don't have names. We don't have names. Okay? Our true identity is God. Not the name. Not Bill Johnson or Mary Smith. Not your money, not your estate, not your assets. You know, not your stat, none of that. It's like, what is your name? I am the God. You know, that's it. That ego thing. That's what we all are. See, and what we're doing is we're fighting the very thing that will literally set us free. We're fighting the God that we are within. So we don't surrender to the God that we are. We fight it. And so we see the ego mind's got you convinced that, you know, boy, if you surrender, you're giving it all up. You're giving it all up if you surrender. Think about that. And how many of us do that? A lot of us do it. Do we really think about it a lot? I don't think so. I don't think we put a lot of effort or time and think about that. And like Pamela Wilson said, all the greatest treasures are hidden behind that which we wouldn't want to be with. All the wisdom, compassion, and treasures are within us. All the wisdom, all the compassion, and treasures are within us. So where are we going to hide it? Because it's already in us. How many of us, okay, we admit some point in this life we've crossed this, that many of us would like 100% guarantee that everything is going to be okay throughout our lives, right? Isn't that what we want? Not too much bumpiness, okay? Not too much this or that. Can handle some of it. Yeah, that's all I care to. We want a golden agreement from God that says our entire future will be safe from harm, free from pain, and that we will always manifest our very desire and dream, our every desire and dream. We want to know for sure that life is always working out for us in our favor, and we are guaranteed to perfect a flawless future. See, now the only problem with this contract, or whatever you want to call it, agreement with the God that we are, is that we also want a life that is brimming with excitement and overflowing with new, fascinating adventures every day. We want a future that is free from boredom and filled with a spiritual richness that we are forever bathing in the healing qualities of our very soul. Now, the real question is, would all of this be possible if there was no such thing as fear? No, it wouldn't. Would it? How many of us are controlled by fear? We only say fear controls us on doing things, doesn't it? If you get frightened about something, you're not going to do it. Now, any of us that have done our inner research and looked deeply into our personal relationship with fear, it might seem to be one of those slippery issues that we are either trying to cope with, ignore, transcend, or avoid at all costs. Many of us were told in our childhood that if we want to be happy, we need to conquer our fears. Yet nobody actually told us how to do it. Probably because they hadn't accomplished this amazing feat themselves. Perhaps because most everyone has forgotten the truth. Most everyone on this planet has forgotten the truth. That we are divine, eternal, spiritual beings who will never, ever die. There are some people right in this now, right, still waiting for that magical formula that will free them from fear. And today is that special day that everyone's been waiting lifetimes for. In a few weeks from now, you can be totally free from fear. Let go of your phobias, doubts, and immature, childish insecurities forever. Perhaps prepare yourself for a new relationship with fear that will make you start living the most amazing, exciting life. Your mind is about to experience a miracle. You're going to learn how to replace all the fearful chemicals in your brain so that you become authentically fearless in every area of your life. So we take baby steps, right? First action towards fearlessness begins with little baby steps into trusting the energy of fear. This trusting energy comes from a spiritually advanced understanding that we live in a divine, benevolent, conscious universe that never, ever, ever, ever makes a mistake and has no room for coincidences. This all-intelligent, life-giving universe is always on our side. and knows exactly what ingredients we are needed for our enlightenment by accepting this paradigm into every cell in our body. You can start to understand how fear is your greatest teacher and best friend by knowing the loving universe is always working in your favor. We can relax more, take the risk to snuggle up to our fear, get a closer look underneath it, just to see what it truly is and why it is actually there. And becoming truly fearless, we will need to develop the daily practice of deep, authentic curiosity with ourselves. We will need to explore why we are afraid of whatever we are afraid of. What is this special avoidance that is hooked deep in our gut and heart really all about? It is only through a childlike curiosity and true heartfelt inquiry that we can turn our worries into wonders and catch a glimpse of what it actually is that we are running from. Looking inside, behind, or underneath your fear for the first time may seem life-threatening, or feel as if you're about to enter a secret cellar door that's been hidden for hundreds of years. And you kind of imagine it's dark and dingy. This is the right place to start. Somewhere that feels very familiar, frightening, and insistently and instantly makes you want to run and hide. Be aware, the mind is a genius at avoiding what it needs to confront. We have all sorts of strategies and tricks at getting distracted from peering into places, which make us uncomfortable. We always be infinitely patient and insanely persistent whenever you approach your fear. Perhaps you're a bit analytical and wondering, how does one actually look underneath a fearful feeling, thought, or scary image that is stuck in the mind? Well, you're going to need an extra dose of childlike imagination for this journey. We'll back the clock a few years and recall what life was like when you were a child. Do you remember how you played all day long? Your creativity and imagination never ended all day long. Perhaps you were into playing fantasy games, like saving the innocent princess from the kingdom's fire-breathing dragon. You had the power to imagine anything and everything, and you still have that power today. You might have even imagined that you became a grown-up adult who lost touch with their childish power of imagination. And as Albert Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Now, knowledge is limited, while imagination encircles the world, the universe, the galaxies, all of it and beyond. How many of us, you imagine, this is kind of a good comparison. You know, how many of us when we were kids had a friend, imaginary friend, right? We'd talk to them, have conversations with them. You know. Do we still have that? Yes, it's in us. I would ask, when I was a kid, I asked people and neighbors, They'd be doing something, I'd walk by. And just, watching an adult wash a car, right? And it's curious. So you want to know a lot of things about that car and him, why he's washing that car. So you just kind of go over there on your tricycle, you start asking questions. And you just keep asking them. Because, see, we're such empty vessels that we're just starving for information. So what happens is you ask questions, why are you doing that? What are you doing? So, the adult humors the kid and says, oh, I'm washing my car. Why are you washing it? Well, because it's dirty. Well, why is it dirty? See what I mean? We just keep asking and asking and asking and asking. And then the adult usually gets frustrated after a while, right? Because they're either in the past or the future, or yesterday and tomorrow, and they're suffering. And, who knows what's going on with them. But we did learn. We picked up some things, okay? Well, we didn't get to the point where they answered, why is it dirty? But we did get a few answers with our questions. And then we'd think about it, right? We're always curious. Did you ever meet a friend when you were a kid that wasn't curious? Everything in our life, everything, from moment to moment. What's creating that? Excuse me. What's creating that? Our imagination. How is anything created? Our imagination. It's also responsible for creating every fear that we have. Since it created all of our fears, it also has the power to stop creating them and invent something totally brand new. Can't turn it off. Okay? You cannot turn it off. Our imagination is always on, always forming new movies inside. We still have the amazing power of imagination working every day inside of us. Real question is, are we willing to step beyond any normal, ordinary versions of reality that we've created and discover a place inside us where anything is possible? Anything. So it's like our imagination is extremely powerful. Just notice what happens inside your mouth when you imagine biting into a super spicy jalapeno taco covered in hot sauce or any kind of food that turns you on. You start salivating, right? Your salivary glands start firing up as the body reacts to whatever the mind sees inside. And when we get hooked in imagining something we don't want to see, cannot accept, cannot understand or relax with, then our body continues to react to fight, right? To flight or fight mode each time. After a few repetitions, fearful chemical can instantly form inside our brains whenever we have that same thought pattern again. And how is that proven? How do we know that? Give me an instant of that. You go to a restaurant, right? Your mouth's salivating because your imagination has called up an image of a new, let's just say a T-bone steak, about 2 inches thick, grass-fed, non-GMO, organic. The flavor and the aroma and the appearance of the grill marks, all of that. The baked potato with this butter, the sour cream, the chives, all of that, and the vegetables and the dessert, and you're thinking about it. So you go and you order yourself this dinner. You eat the steak, and you become very sick. Throw up. You have a really rough night. And it passes. But now, you're indelibly conditioned that you will not be able to eat a steak again because of that horrendous episode that you had experienced. Isn't that amazing? And if whenever you think about the steak, it's in fear. That was a rough time. I won't be eating any steaks anymore. Right? How many times have you done that? Might not be a steak, could be anything. Because we're afraid of everything, guys. Everything. Intimacy. Giving public speeches. Great heights. Insects. Dogs. Huge crowds. Tight elevator spaces. Love. Hate. Happiness. Joy. Fear. Worry. Stress. Anxiety. We're worried about all of it. All the time. See, it's our choice to take full responsibility for our inner movie show. Get in touch with what our deepest, darkest, fearful movie truly is. This is not just about getting over the Nightmare on Elm Street. Remember that movie series? Horror movie? It's dealing with the real fears which are blocking us from creating the life that we truly want to live. Now, this is a fearless commitment to yourself, is that you will stop avoiding fear for the next 21 days of your life and instead explore it with childhood curiosity. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy breath in through the nose. An easy breath out of the mouth. Remain still. To be spiritually awake means you are fully present to this eternal celebration of life in each moment. There is no judgment about good, bad, or right, wrong. You are simply in a state of awe and gratitude for what is. This is a completely effortless path. Yet even effortless is too much a word to fully discover it. Go about your day even more freely, lightly, and effortlessly than you ever have in your entire life. Make celebration of existence the number one commitment throughout today. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and the following morning. We'll return here Sunday, June 18, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest, 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 eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on around you.